Bulls on Tap. Your one stop for all your Chicago Bulls needs. Hosted by Alejandro Delgado and Trey Ruff.
What's up, guys? It's Bulls on Tap. I'm your host, Alejandro. Unfortunately, Trey can't make it, but we have Duncan White in the building being able to come and cover the podcast for us. Duncan, can you introduce yourself to the people?
Yes, thank you, Alejandro, for having me on the podcast. Hi, everyone. My name is Duncan. I've been kind of covering the Chicago Bulls for about 3-ish years, I think, kind of fully. My main job of right now for covering the Bulls is obviously be part of On Tap Sportsnet as a creative writer, but I also have my own YouTube channel, youtube.com/@theslamduncan, where I do a lot of Chicago Bulls videos, and I do post-game streams after almost every game. And then I typically am always talking a lot on Twitter, and you can find me at Duncan_White14 there, and just hear my general thoughts on the Bulls. But I've been a big Bulls fan since about I think it was about like the 2012-13 season. So that was not the year without Rose, but I kind of got introduced then thanks to my mom, and I've been on the Bulls fandom ride ever since.
What would be your favorite memory as a Bulls fan?
So I think my favorite memory, it's kind of odd because if you're wondering, I have never been to a Bulls game, actually. I have never actually been to the United Center and gone there.
We got to change that. We got to change that this season.
Well, so here's the thing. I have been one of the people that says that I'm never giving Ryan's worth my money until it's actually worth the time. So
okay.
So that is how it's just unfortunately gone with this team. But so all my favorite Bulls memories are watching through television. But I think my favorite one, and unfortunately I was not able to watch the entire game, but it was Game 4, 2013 playoffs, first round against the Brooklyn Nets for the Bulls. And Nate Robinson goes and has the most incredible fourth quarter overtime, and is just saves the Bulls. That's in Game 4, where the Bulls looked like they were just dead in the water. They're down 14 with less than 3 minutes to go, and Robinson's able to, Nate Robinson in Game 4 of the Brooklyn Nets series. Bulls are down by 14 with less than 3 minutes left to go, and Robinson's able to find a way to get the Bulls to overtime, and goes on to also have an insane first overtime, and the Bulls go on, and it's like a 3 overtime game in that one. And again, I wasn't able to watch the full game, but that was one of the most hyped games I think I've ever watched in my Bulls fandom, and that was early in my Bulls days. But Robinson was just one of the guys that just got me into watching the Bulls, and so he'll always be one of my favorite reasons.
I think coming up in that era, it was always the niche role players who had a stellar game that really won over fans versus
for sure.
stars and everything that they were. I feel like even today it translates to how fans are. We're like, okay, Javonte Green, you are one of the greatest basketball players of all time.
Yeah, and it's very funny because the Bulls had a bunch of the small guards back then, and Robinson was amongst them all. And there's always just talks the Bulls always have a small guard off the bench that was always pretty solid. The next year's DJ Augustine. But yeah, it's very funny. But I think a lot of Bulls fans could empathize with my fandom on Nate because he was just awesome that year.
Oh yeah. So on a darker note, what will be your least favorite moment as a Bulls fan?
Unfortunately, there's a lot of just bad overall moments, but I think for me, it's I think the first year of post Jimmy Butler trade of I know we finally got Levine and Markkanen's here, but I just remember at the end of that season, everyone was injured. And so we're starting just the most ridiculous lineups ever. It's just as a Bulls fan, you want to see just all right basketball at minimum. Even like during rebuild times, you just kind of want to have something out there to kind of root for. Even if you feel like you're not looking to win the game, and it's just like, God, like the lineups out there where you're just like, I mean, no disrespect to Paul Zipser, but like, I mean, he was just like, in those lineups and stuff. It's just like, God, that was probably the roughest moments of like, I don't really want to watch, but I'm so just crazy that I'm like, I'm gonna watch anyway.
Honestly, the beginning of that season, I had a lot of fun. I don't like Chris Dunn and Laurie very much. I'm like, okay, boom, we have Dirk and John Wall. We're ready to go.
Yeah, Dirk and John Wall, man. I remember those days where it felt a lot more hype around some of the younger players, but yeah, it's unfortunate it didn't work out.
I agree. Oh man. Mount Rushmore of Chicago Bulls players. Doesn't have to be the best. Your Mount Rushmore.
Okay, yeah. So I want to make this clear, like in terms of like, so again, I'm 24, so I didn't watch Jordan, I didn't watch Pippen, I didn't watch the Dynasty days. If I had to make the greatest players on the Mount Rushmore, like it's like Jordan, Pippen, and then you can choose like Rodman or Kukoc or whoever, and then I have Rose at the end there. But for my people the players that I've watched on my own Mount Rushmore, a name that people don't like is probably Jimmy Butler. I love Jimmy Butler when he was here, and I'll forever defend that man. Taj Gibson's also on my Mount Rushmore. He was so much fun to watch in the 2013-14 season when he probably should have won Sixth Man of the Year. And just to watch him always just be so solid was awesome. I'm going to go with Joakim Noah, Heart, Hustle, and Muscle. And last but not least, like it's hard for me to kind of pick because unfortunately I wasn't a Bulls fan during the MVP Rose years, but I'll say Nate Robinson for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think on the couple episodes ago I gave mine. Kyle Korver's up there for me.
Yeah.
He's oh my gosh. Everyone laughs when I say, yeah, Kyle Korver got me into Bulls basketball. Like running off the screens, hitting the 3-pointer. That was just so fascinating to me at that time. I don't know why.
Floppy action all day.
Yes. Obviously, no Rose, Noah, then that fourth. I think I always defaulted to the 90s era's players, but I'm going to take a page from your book and go with players I watched. I also didn't see anything with the 90s. I wasn't thought back then. We'll go with who will we go with? No, it can't be Zach. Zach.
Don't get me wrong. I love Zach. I'm the biggest Zach defender, but even I'm not going to put him on this at this moment in time.
I'm going to put that pre-face plant of Chris Dunn. That's
my God. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was so high on him. Like, bro, I need a Dunn jersey. This is it. We're set. Oh man. Then after that, it was all downhill.
Yeah, unfortunate for him.
All right. Now we could last icebreaker question before we get into last night's game.
Yep.
Your celebrity crush.
Yeah, so unfortunately, this is just I'm the wrong person to ask this. My life is just watching sports and video games and others. I watch a lot of streamers, I guess, if that's like a celebrity. But if I had to choose somebody, because the only movies I really do watch are the Marvel movies, and so I guess Zendaya. I think that's just who I go with. But yeah, I'm honestly not the person to ask this. I could not name a lot of celebrities because my head is full of just NBA players' names instead. Yeah.
You got Tristan Vukovic over somebody like
yeah.
I don't even know who's celebrity, like Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah, I mean, like I know who Sabrina Carpenter is, obviously, but what she's doing, like I know she has a song out that people listen to a lot of, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't really know too much more.
Okay. I respect that answer. Yeah, I'm not. I think there's so many like micro celebrities now too, like B-list and C-listers. So
Yeah.
It's too much. You have to be really invested to keep up with all that.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, I'm definitely more like into like the streaming space, and so like those content creators. Like, I know a lot more about them than I know about all these other like A-list celebrities. That I'm like, yeah, I guess they're doing a new movie or something. Like, yeah, no idea, I have no clue.
No, I'm right there with you. All right, we could transition to. I if you want to call it a game, we can. But it's Ayo Dosunmu and friends who can't keep up, trying to beat the 9 lose streak Pelicans. What were your thoughts on last night's game?
Very frustrating. And you're not going to hear my angry voice on this podcast, but I was very angry after that game, especially during my stream, for multiple reasons. But in terms of just the game itself, I was just so shocked at seeing how terrible everyone was on defense, including guys that I think have been kind of known to at least give effort. And even to an extent, like, I think Giddey has been given better effort, and everyone just looked like a wet paper towel in that game. The Bulls try to run a 2-3 zone that the most recent zones have just been so odd by the Bulls and their timings. And I know Billy's just like trying something different, but I did not understand what we were doing at those zones. And I'm not going to be, I'm not able to like break down like plays on this podcast, but like I showed on my stream, like there was moments where guys are just like randomly deciding like, oh, we're playing 2-3 zone to start, and then like, oh, one guy is going to go with this man, and then everyone else is still playing zone though. So on all aspects, the defense for the Bulls was just flat out awful. I know there's some complaints about the offense, which is so weird to me because they still scored 130 points in that game. They still shot 40% from 3-point range, but like, yeah, the offense had a bunch of turnovers and stuff, and we weren't maybe attacking the paint like we've usually done to start the season, but we still got to 130 points. But the biggest issue is just the defense is just so bad. The effort is not there from anybody. And before anyone says like, oh, injuries, but like the main core is out there for the Bulls. Like, Vucevic is not supposed to be part of the future core. At least that's what we think. And, no disrespect to Herter or Okoro, I don't think they're also part of the main core. And you go out there and you allow the Pelicans to set a season high in points when all other teams did not allow the Pelicans to score 125 points or more all season long. Looks really rough. And I'm really upset to see how easily the Pelicans just were able to score last night. So that's my initial thoughts. Anything to add?
I'm right there with you. Oh my gosh. Like, you can't, I keep tweeting this. You can't there's a movie, Rudy, where he's trying his best. He's not that good. You can't have a bunch of Rudies on your team. I know they always think defense is effort, but it's also skill. It's also IQ. Alonzo's not really the most physical person, but he's able to lock somebody up because of his IQ, because he can read the passing lanes.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. It's the same way with a box out, as a simple box out, screen navigation. It doesn't come through, okay, I'm going to will my way through somebody or force my way through somebody. It's knowing when to do it, how to exactly do it to skill. We don't have guys like that in the front court, especially, who do that. We have athletes who just so happen to play basketball. They're not basketball players. As I sit here in front of a camera saying this, not in the gym over here in the league, but they haven't proven to really show that that's what they're doing. And maybe there is a role for them, but we need this other role filled that they just aren't living up to. They can't do it. They can't go bots out while someone cuts in, gets the rebound. We saw it. Steven Adams could have averaged a triple-double playing with Russell Westbrook, but instead he will bots out timely and let Russ get the rebound so we could average a triple-double. Things like that need to be happening. That doesn't happen by accident. That's just not a coincidence.
And the other thing I'm going to add to that is I think physical tools are important. And like, I do agree that like there are some of these Bulls players that are just like, they're athletes and they have maybe the so-called physical tools, but they haven't exactly become basketball players yet. But it also does. I won't lie. This game, the Wizards game, and the Miami game, like these games have made me really question this core, because as good as maybe Giddey has become in this season, like I think that we should be aware of his limitations. And for example, he is 6'8", but he doesn't have a large wingspan. So, yeah, is he ever going to be a consistently good defender? Probably not, just because maybe not lack of effort, but it's because of just his current physical tools. And you can also argue the same thing with Kobe. Now, I'll give Giddey always the rebounding, like he's always brought that, but it's kind of just like something I'm looking at where your best offensive players are also maybe some of your worst defenders on the team. And that's not exactly I don't know if that really leads to success right now in today's NBA. And that's not to knock these guys. I want to make this clear, but it's a just overall question of like, how can you generate some sort of defensive impact for me? And right now that's a question that is still left unanswered. And I was hoping to see some sort of answer to that as we went along in this season.
I think it will take a lot of restructuring before we see the effort. Can their effort and offensive abilities make up for their lack of defense? It comes down to having the other defensive personnel pick up the slack for them. But we can't. That doesn't happen overnight. Vucevic isn't going to walk through those doors and become a rim protector.
Right.
We're not going to see Okoro box out, and it doesn't seem like that's Modest's game either, being that strong four that fans want him to be. It's sort of similar to Patrick Williams. Oh, can he play the 5? Can he do the we're expecting the wrong things. Like these defensive tools aren't there for them. And instead of trying to acquire guys that do that, we double down and, they could adjust. They could do this. They could do that. But it's not really working out.
Yeah. I do think that, yes, the Bulls had injuries, but it's just, seeing someone like Patrick Williams get his first start of the season, and he had a, pretty decent start to the year. It's like, this is your chance to show, all right, well, I'm going to come in and contribute more in the starting lineup tonight. And yeah, he might be playing out of position, but you're still out there. It's not like the Pelicans are the most ginormous team in the world or anything like that. You're not facing the Houston Rockets tonight. You can still go out there and yeah, they do offensive rebound effectively, but you can still go out there and have an impact. And to see guys that some proclaim are starters coming off the bench,
oh my God,
kind of come in, and all of a sudden I'm expecting just decent effort and ability from you, and I'm not seeing that. It's really frustrating, especially after the start we had this season. So yeah, I unfortunately think that as I don't want to try to, because I know we're going to get into a little bit later about the future, but my outlook for the team, 5-0 start was great, but I also had many concerns in the 5-0 start. But now, I wasn't maybe that high in this team in the first place, but I didn't think the defense was going to be this terrible, and I thought the defense was going to be bad. So that's the kind of concerning thing, and if the Bulls can change that in any way.
Do you think it could happen through just them getting better, them working on things internally, or does a trade need to happen to improve on these things?
So my feeling is this: giving up 143 points to the New Orleans Pelicans, who came in dead last in points per game, that is definitely partly effort. I don't care what you can say about that. You're just not trying, at least in my opinion. So I don't expect us to just keep giving up 143 points per game every single time, which we've given up 406 points in our last 3 games, which is ridiculous. But it's, I don't think that's going to continue. I would hope not, because I do think effort will get you to a better point than that. I do think that some players still on this roster that can develop into being better on that end and rebounding better. Like specifically Buzelis, like I am very much aware that like he's not exactly taking the biggest leap, but he's also right now like his minutes are kind of like being taken away, and it's it's kind of hard to kind of go out and get rebounds when you're kind of getting pulled every 3 minutes. So it's one of those things where I do think that there are some players that can still develop better skills. However, there needs to be a major roster overhaul before we can even talk about this team defensively being in a solid spot. And that requires trades, that requires many different options to try to increase the level of defense. But this specific roster, if it just stands pat, it's not going to just magically get better overnight, or you're going to just suddenly see this team trying better and it's going to show up in the results.
This wasn't in the show notes, but I want to ask you this. What are your thoughts on, there's rumors floating for Anthony Davis, Zion? I saw it definitely was a fake report too of LaMelo and Sabonis. What do you think of like going after max level contract players to improve this roster? Or should they do something lower, something minor to tweak and just elevate the defense more than just getting the brand name type players?
Yeah, so to me, going after those guys right now, like we'll start with Anthony Davis. Age-wise, it's very concerning for me, and that contract is humongous. So that one to me is very much like, yeah, he'll help the defense, but you're going to be giving up probably something like pretty valuable, and it's not the unfortunate part for the Bulls right now is like they don't have the assets to just suddenly be like, oh, we can just kind of spend lucratively on something and then still have enough assets left over to try to form out the rest of the roster. That's the concerning thing about going after any of these max guys is how much is it actually going to take from our asset pool. And because the Bulls are what they've been with their spending, I don't know how much they're going to have in terms of just money left over to be like, yeah, we're going to actually be looked at trying to get the team to be better through just spending reasons or spending ways. So, that to me, like going after those guys with this current roster, it doesn't make any sense. Not just because of where the roster is at, but it's also because I don't know what the Bulls are going to have left over, in financial reasons, but also asset pool reasons. And it's part of the reason why I've been concerned about where this team is going is because, sure, maybe you want to call this a rebuild. I personally wouldn't, but what is our asset pool compared to someone else that has maybe multiple first round picks to offer, that can maybe go after someone and give, a better offer. It's not, I don't think it's really much better than a lot of other teams right now. And if it's maybe better, then it's those teams are already trying to win. So, I think going after any of those guys is going to be pretty hard to pull off in the first place, but it's also just not the right time, I think, because we don't have any extra assets to use maybe to add on to that maybe sort of guy. The names listed, though, like LaMelo, he isn't going to help this team defensively. Neither is Sabonis. Zion is in the same boat. So you're going to just add more scorers to the team that has shown that they can score pretty effectively and play at a high pace, but I don't think they're going to suddenly just become a better defense from adding most of those guys, unfortunately.
No, I definitely agree. When it comes down to the asset pool, many people don't realize that you need to make sure you have the luxury to do a counter move. Let's say just things happen. We saw with Lonzo, didn't work out. You need to be able to have the assets to move on, to do something to accommodate that move. You can't, like chess, for example, you can't just do moves willy-nilly to go get, all right, I'm going to try to take their queen, even though it's going to cost me mine, to the point where you're there with just a bunch of pawns and your king,
Mm-hmm.
while they're over here still with the knights and the bishops.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's where I'm at now with the team. We're like, okay, I want to see a good move, but then it's going to cost the player like Ayo Dosunmu. It's going to cost the Portland pick. These things have value. Where could we get this value from? We had the chance to do it through the draft, and we're not even seeing it with Noah Ascendere. And not a fault of his own, just the Billy Donovan development plan seems to be in full effect.
Yeah, and even to me, let's say for example, like I think for many of these teams, like the start, they're going to start asking for like Buzelis to start, and then they're going to try to work its way down, right? Like it's not like, oh, we'll take Isaac Okoro in the first or something. Like it's not going to start there. It's going to start up top, and the reality then is that what you have left over is basically like your own picks as potential value, and that's going to be the scary part for a team that I think needs talent, and you are going to suddenly be sacrificing your picks to try to upgrade your talent, but it's in a win now spot, but you don't have then extra talent to try to add on. It's a tough spot. I know Noah Senge hasn't it's been rough so far, but I've talked about that, like his development is crucial, not maybe necessarily for the Bulls, but maybe for someone else, right? You have to make sure that you value your assets properly, and to see that the Bulls don't value the draft picks, which is like my biggest argument against that, is like, well, maybe you don't value them, but some other team might. And your young players right now, it seems like you're just trying to bring them along in your own plan way, which I don't agree with. It's potentially hurting your options right now and your flexibility.
I agree. I've argued on Twitter thousands of times where, okay, you may not think, oh, you can't win with like 19, 20-year-olds or whatever the counter argument is, but this is currency in the league. To improve your team, you need to be able to make sure your pockets are deep. When you want to go spend money, when you want to go hit big, you go to a casino. You're not just going with just like $5 hoping you could flip it to 1,000. Make sure you have that money to be able to go and spend. Granted, I've never been to the casino. Don't really gamble. I've done FanDuel a couple times.
Stay away from the casino. That's all I'll say.
Yes. My point is, you need to make sure this is understanding the way the world works before your own opinion. If you want to improve your team, the end goal is to build a championship contender. Maybe start by seeing what championship contenders are doing.
And specifically for the Bulls, right? If they're going to continue to act like a small market team, then most of these small market teams, the only way they build is through the draft. And what do the Bulls not have extra of right now is draft picks. So it's very concerning right now with where I think they're currently at, and why there might need to be potentially some moves on the horizon here.
Over the offseason, I feel like there's a conversation every offseason about how Ayo Dosunmu doesn't fit the team. Ayo is the odd man out. Oh, we need to trade him. His value high. Ayo's been playing good recently. And you just came out with a column talking about Ayo Dosunmu and how great he's been for the team despite how awful we've seen this product as of late. Can you go into it with your column, see exactly what's going on?
Yeah, so I've first and foremost have been a major fan of Ayo since we drafted him and a rookie season and everything. He's a player that's always caught my eye. I titled my article "Unpacking Ayo Dosunmu's elite efficiency on the court," because what Dosunmu has done this season has been like insanely efficient, and I already thought Dosunmu was already pretty efficient already. The 3-point shot is definitely iffy, but you look at his overall field goal percentages by year, he has not shot worse than 49% every single season in terms of just field goal percentage. And that's even with, down years of 3-point shooting. But this season specifically, while mostly coming off the bench until just recently, Dosunmu Dosunmu has become the team's third best scorer so far, and it's basically firmly solidified it. Giddey's number 1, followed by Vucevic, and then Dosunmu's number 3. We're not counting Kobe for now because he's only played in 4 games. But Dosunmu is just somehow, just crazily, and it's honestly just, I never thought that this would ever happen with him, and I'm high on him. But he has found a way to increase his efficiency. So now he's shooting a career high 56% from the field. He's shooting a career high 47% from 3-point range when he's a career 36.8% 3-point shooter. And this has all been a contribution to his now career high again of points per game at 16.4, which he set a career high in points per game last season at 12.3. So Dosunmu, in what has been his second lowest minutes per game in his career so far of just how the season's gone because he's coming off the bench, he is averaging career numbers across the board. And it's just been so impressive to watch because, again, I love Ayo, but I never thought that he'd be this efficient. And so in my article, I kind of compared him a little bit to how, he's doing for the rest of the Bulls. Pretty much, though, it's just showing, like, when we look at like efficiency field goal percentage or true shooting percentage, like Ayo is like by far and away the best on the Bulls, which pretty much says like Ayo's been the most efficient player on this Bulls team, and he's scoring at a level that has to be respected. That you can't just be like, oh well, it's just it's a kind of couple of minutes off the bench, or he has some good games here and there. It's like no, he's like actually scoring 16 plus points per game now, and he's been by far the most efficient scorer on the team when you look at his numbers. And he's doing it in still getting downhill in his drives, and he's been the best Bulls driver in terms of field goal percentage. And he's been the Bulls' second best points in the paint per game player, and he's tied with Vucevic in that category. And so it just has been so impressive just to watch how Ayo has somehow improved his efficiency when he's already very efficient for a guard in this league. And it's just been a joy. 2 areas specifically that he has improved in, his catch and shoot 3-point shooting and his non-restricted area paint shots have really taken a spike up. And that has been humongous to basically kind of, I don't want to say 3-level score maybe necessarily, but it has given him more options to score on the court instead of just being solely like rim 3-point shot. It allows him to kind of score a little bit more in the in-between area in the non-restricted paint area. So it's been honestly awesome. So any thoughts that you want to talk about when it comes to Dosunmu and the article?
See, when I hear this, when I read your article, then I don't know if you've listened to his interview with Young Man and the 3 podcast, him, Giddey, and Buzelis. Mm-hmm. The way Ayo breaks down winning and what it means and who is trying to define a winning player, all this combining, it makes me wonder that are the Bulls undervaluing him as a sixth man? Because it's been overly stated that this roster isn't talented enough. And when you have a guy who's shooting almost 60% from the field goal, not even advanced, just pure stat, it makes you wonder what are you doing coming off the bench when you got guys who can't really. It's about putting your best players out there. Regardless, we've seen Caruso play before, and he's 6'3". Mm-hmm. At what point do you just start giving him? I wouldn't even necessarily say the keys, but just more relying on him to help you win these games. To push. Did you correct me if I'm wrong? But it looked like he was the only one with effort last game, where he would come out, try to apply rim pressure, and play basketball. So
I'll even say this just to add on to that. I think he was only one of the only few people that could consistently apply rim pressure, because we saw like guys like Kobe and Giddey, and they tried to go and apply the rim pressure, and it'd be turnovers, right? And that's not to say that Giddey's been Giddey has been the Bulls' best paint scorer this season so far, but like it's been widely inconsistent sometimes with him. So I I want to just once again, just bring props to Ayo because he's been one of the guys on the team that can get to the paint off the dribble. And, defenses have to seriously respect that. But at along now, he's shooting nearly 50% from three. Makes him pretty hard to guard. And it's tough for some defenses to figure out what to do with them right now.
With his impending free agency, what do you think his contract situation will look like? If the Bulls had to offer him something today, what would it be?
So this is what, the reason why I made this article is because Dosunmu and Kobe White are both unrestricted free agents this upcoming offseason, and there's a lot of talk about the Bulls for the 2026 offseason, like, oh, cap space and everything, and it sounds all great and dandy of like, oh, we're going to have so much financial flexibility, it's going to be awesome. And I want to make this clear just to everyone, like, I have my own numbers when it comes to the Bulls. I copy it from Spot Track and I put it in a spreadsheet and calculate it all. Pretty much, though, just to put in general, like my estimation off of the Spot Track estimation of the salary cap, which is $166 million, I only have the Bulls at $35 million of salary cap space. I did add in a draft pick, so that is an extra $5.8 million, but that can go up or down based on where the pick is. But that's my estimation, and the reason and how I got to those numbers is I got rid of everybody else, so Vucevic, Collins, Herter, Carter, Terry, all those guys that are impending free agents, they're all gone. But to keep Ayo and Kobe, you have to keep both their cap holds. Because the only way you're going to make sure that you keep their bird rights is if you keep their cap hold. And so keeping both those guys cap holds, which means Kobe's at $24.5 million, Ayo's is at $14.3 million, that eats into the salary cap space. And so that's how I get $35 million, basically. If you remove those cap holds, which the Bulls could, that means pretty much, though, that the chances of those guys coming back are low. You could get up to $70 million in cap space, but I don't think they're going to have interest in doing that. Anyway, though, the whole point of me talking about that is why, what is the Dosunmu kind of contract right now that could be offered? And based off the rules from the CBA, for extensions, it's based off 140% of your previous contract year. So for Ayo, he's making $7.5 million. Or you take the average estimated salary for the NBA, which Basketball Reference has that. Sorry, I need the exact number. It's $11.9 million. Mm-hmm. So pretty much the Bulls, for their max offer, they can offer Ayo Dosunmu right now for an extension, which I'll tell you why I think it's worth it. But it'd be starting, his first year salary would be starting at $16.69 million. So let's just say 17 around there, right? Per year, and you can offer up to 4 years. Now, I don't know if I would offer 4 years, but I would, for me personally, with how Ayo has played this season, and because that both Kobe and Ayo are going to be unrestricted free agents, I would definitely be offering Ayo an extension because he's the only guy between him and Kobe that can actually get a extension that he might actually be considering. Mm-hmm. Do the Bulls want to go into the offseason thinking that, oh, hey, there is the actual possibility that both Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu leave in free agency and you get nothing for either one of them? That to me is something that I don't know if the Bulls want to even think about that, but you could trade both right now. But I'm just saying, with the way that this team operates, it doesn't seem like they're going to be looking to trade either one of them right now. So for my own personal sake, I'm thinking hey, Ayo's cap hold, right, is going to be $14.3 million anyway. So to me, that's already salary that's going to be eaten up on the salary cap books just from his cap hold alone. So the mid-level exception is going to be estimated $15 million. Why not offer Ayo $16 million a year right now and see if he takes it? If you just think about it, he made $21 million on his previous, this current contract that he's currently on. He made $5 million on his rookie, maybe not even, and it was a 2-year deal. That would significantly increase his career earnings automatically if he offered a 3-year, $60 million per year contract. He might not take it. His agent might be just nope, let's wait, and that's fine. But I think it's worth it for the Bulls to make sure if if you can get them to accept this, like you make sure that you have at least one of Ayo into the offseason, or one of the between Ayo and Kobe into the offseason. And I think that's important. And just to wrap this up, I want to make this clear. If let's say Kobe does come back, well then you can trade Ayo still then, because I think it's still a pretty tradable contract then. So I think for the Bulls, it's a good insurance policy if you can find a way to get this done.
This leads me into a bigger issue I have with the team. When you don't have the talent or the draft picks, you kind of need to have that clean cap sheet. It's not just, okay, I look at the cleanest books, but you have Okoro and Williams and even Phillips combined making close to $30 million a season for what?
Right.
Or exactly for what? Like it puts you in a bind like this where you can't really, you have to plan out advancing. I keep two of my talented players for just because I have these guys who could be replaced by players on, like I would just say it, on the minimums. Like you could replace them with guys on minimum contracts, no problem at all. It's not. That's how little they've offered impact. You put yourself in this bind, and now it's going to be even harder to actually compete in the offseason when you're not the only one with cap space either, and you're not even the best team with cap space.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. It is definitely concerning because, you're right. Like, between Williams and Okoro, it's basically $30 million alone. Add in Phillips, and you definitely are past $30 million. Thing is, though, is that this is where the Bulls put themselves. And the Okoro one specifically to me is the one that doesn't make much sense to me because it's you traded Lonzo's 1 year team option second year contract and for a guaranteed $11 million extra. And I think Okoro's had his ups and downs, but that's it is $11.8 million on the books. So it is concerning for sure when you do kind of look at it, because that, like we talked about, it eats into salary cap space that a lot of people think that we're going to have. But if you're able to find a way to get rid of those guys, it would definitely open up more. And it will give you a lot more options to use the salary cap.
Is it more valuable if they look to trade these, if they leverage these expiring deals at the deadline and acquire some talent, or just let them expire entirely?
It's up to them. You can do it in multiple ways. For example, let's just say Kevin Huerter, for example, he's making about $18 million. What you could do is you can go to a team and be like, hey, so I see that your books for next season get pretty scary randomly. So I don't know, just examples like Orlando Magic, right? Their books suddenly they spike in a bunch of money just suddenly is being paid all these guys. And so you could kind of go to them and be like, hey, I don't know Magic's draft assets currently right now, but let's just say hey, we're willing to take on one of your players that's making a lot of money next season. Here's Kevin Huerter, though. This offers you salary cap relief. And in exchange, we want someone just maybe a young player. I doubt it, but give us some sort of draft asset, right? You could leverage that now, but the other way that you could leverage it is you just basically say in the offseason, right? Oh, hey, you have a bad contract. Give us a pick, and we'll take that bad contract on. That's an option. But with the way that the Bulls are looking to try to win, I think their better option would be to probably just let these guys expire unless they find some sort of actual good deal for them and try to use this salary cap space to try to sign some guys that they think are going to help the team if they're in the win now mode.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. It's such a bad situation they want to be in. As much as it's painted like sunshines and rainbows, it's not good, especially if your guys aren't producing. Because then, if I'm not mistaken, the Lakers also have the possibility of having a lot of cap space.
It matters what LeBron does, but yes.
Mm-hmm. So it comes down to who would you rather play for? Luka or with or Josh Giddey. Not to throw any shade at Josh Giddey, but like, come on, it's LA. We're championship aspirations. Luka's been to the finals.
Yeah,
We're playing regulars.
it's rough. It's a rough overall outlook for us, and like, what can we sell to any of these people? One more thing, just to wrap up on the Ayo idea, like, because he's an expiring, there is technically a world where teams are like, well, we're not going to give you that much for him if, like, we try to trade him now, right? And so the reason why I think that this extension is like can only help this team is like, let's say we are trying to trade him this season, you extend him now, right, and then trade him after, like, the teams are going to be looking at like, oh, I can get 3 years of Ayo Dosunmu instead of only getting 3 months of Ayo Dosunmu, right? Can that up his value and make a team, convince a team to give us more for him? That's just something that I just also want to throw out there. It's just like, hey, there has to be some decisions, I think, that are important, and like, how can you maximize some of your assets to get the most out of them if you are going to actually look to trade some of these guys? So that is just something to keep in mind.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. All right, to wrap up, is there any more thoughts on Ayo Dosunmu trades, Anthony Davis?
To wrap up on trades, I do want to talk about this idea about like Jalen Smith potentially being traded.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is definitely just me being speculative. Okay, like, I have no information on this. I'm just kind of guessing. And December 15th is a major day when it comes to trades, because that's when most of the league is then available to be traded. Most of the free agents that signed in the offseason are now available to be traded. And so when I look at this is I'm looking at for the Bulls is like, all right, who's like a candidate that, like, we've talked about Ayo obviously, but who's a guy that maybe some people aren't really aware of, like, hey, he could potentially just get moved. And it would kind of make sense even if the Bulls are trying to win now. And Jalen Smith, unfortunately, might just be the odd man out in the center rotation. When you go back to last season, when they traded for Zach Collins, like, he jumped Jalen Smith immediately. Smith was injured, but he then stayed in front of Smith in the rotation. And then in preseason, Zach Collins was also still ahead of Jalen Smith. Now, obviously, Collins has been injured, and Smith has had to take the backup center role, and I think he's actually done a really good job in the backup center role. Like, his numbers are actually pretty solid. But what happens when Collins comes back? And assuming Vooch is also healthy, like, what do you do if you're the Bulls? And I don't know. I personally don't think playing Jalen Smith at power forward is going to suddenly help this team's just be better defensively. But out of the 3 centers this season specifically, Jalen Smith is making $9 million. That is significantly less than the other 2 centers. Collins is making 18, and Vooch is making 21. Excuse me. So Jalen Smith at $9 million, like, and he also has a year extra next season that's guaranteed. Like, I think that many teams for looking for a backup center could definitely be calling for him. He's on a very, very team-friendly deal, and $9 million is not hard to trade in this salary cap world. So I think that this is something that maybe to keep an eye on. And I'm not sure what exactly you get from him. Like, he is 25. Like, I think people forget, like, he's actually the same age as Isaac Okoro and, just a year older than Patrick Williams. Like, I feel like people kind of forget that, but he could be pretty overall valuable to a team that is desperately looking for a backup center and trying to contend this season.
Oh yeah. Jalen Smith, he will bring. I don't know exactly what you get for Jalen Smith, but you have to. It'd be a disservice if you don't try to shop him, just because you have that cloud center rotation. You've seen Zach Collins play him out. He's shown value. It'd be good to at least get some. It would allow you to get cap flexibility in the following offseason, where you still likely to have a Okoro and Patrick Williams contract. It just comes down to if you're going to think that far ahead, or if you just want to think immediately now, in case Vooch or Collins gets hurt again, we need to make sure we have Smith here riding the bench.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think it's going to tell us a lot about how they're going to really think about this team. Like, if they're going to just keep Jalen Smith around just because they're worried about an injury for this year, that really does show like this that the front office, which I think they are, that they're still trying to like win every single like winning is like important. We got to try to be towards the playoffs, etc. But at least in my opinion, like, hey, if we get wins because of development, that's one thing, that's great. But I think that development needs to come first priority, and trying to find ways to get assets that can help this team, like whatever direction they go towards, like whether they go a win now direction or they decide to maybe hit a little bit of a reset, like trading out like Jalen Smith, who I think has done pretty well in his Bulls tenure so far. Like I don't know why it would hurt. Like as much as I appreciate what he's done, like you need to shop him, I think. And we will see if it actually does happen. Because at least in my opinion, I don't think Vucevic or Cousins is getting moved when they're both making $18 and $21 million like this season. It's just hard. And Vucevic's age is unfortunately a factor. But because of that, I think there's just someone that's an odd man out, and it would probably be the best decision to just go ahead and look to see what's available for him, and maximize. If you're already going to maybe look to trade him in the offseason, you might as well start looking now.
Exactly. The next couple of games the Bulls have are against the Hornets, Pacers, Magic, and Nets, and Pacers again. All teams struggling this season. Do you think the Bulls could try to capitalize on this next stretch of games and get back into, not giving up 70 points at the half? Or do you think it's going to just stay going down from here?
Yeah, I'm really interested in just seeing, can the defense just get any better? In my opinion, I thought we had Wizards, Pelicans, Charlotte, and Indiana here. I think the Bulls should have gone 4-0 in this stretch, and obviously we have already shown that we haven't done that. I think that this has to be the opportunity for the Bulls to show me, like, okay, we're at least better than some of these other teams right now that are really, really struggling. But you got to go on and do it, because I won't lie, I've kind of made some declarations on my stream where I'm like, if we lose this Charlotte game coming up and it's because we're just playing terrible defense again, I think that it's like it would be an absolute disservice to the team to just keep riding it out. Like, you have to, I think, if you're going to be losing to Charlotte, and then I think Indiana is pretty losable as well, because like Andrew Nembhard's back, TJ McConnell's back. They're still missing Halliburton and like Obi Toppin and Nesmith, but like that's also a very losable game. And if you in those games don't show me better defense, then I'm starting to really question the core around, and you're gonna have to show me something different to kind of convince me, like, yeah, you guys are worth investing our time into. I hate to be like that, like, and this is a word that I've been told a lot about me, but like, I hate to be that pessimistic about the team, but these games have been like, I've been utterly shocked watching these games. It's been shocking to me. And again, this is a guy that I was already not very high on the team coming into the year. I thought the defense was going to be pretty bad, and to see the team just suddenly be this bad defensively is just shocking to me. And I understand a lot of people are talking about, like, oh, but like we're still over 500. The defense hasn't changed. I'm sorry, it just hasn't. Like, the defense in October was basically the same defense we're seeing now. It's just that the three-point shot was like actually a major difference, and teams shot under 30% of wide open threes against us in October. That's not to take away from what we did in October. I think the players deserve their credit, but like we still give up the most shots in the restricted area per game. And suddenly now the three-point percentage has gone back to par, where we're like, oh, the teams are making their wide open threes against us, and it's resulting into this. So I have to see in this upcoming stretch, like, Orlando's, I think they're playing better, so I'll give them a little bit of break against Orlando, but like these upcoming games with all these teams that are nowhere close to double-digit wins, you got to show me that you guys are worth investing into, because I look at some of these other teams, then I'm like, well, that young core is, I don't know if they're any worse than ours right now. Like,
Mhm.
that's something that we have to start kind of thinking about is like, we look at some of these younger teams, like, well, that young core looks okay. If we're getting wrecked by them, then that I think is a kind of good litmus test to kind of gauge where we're at right now. And it's like, all right, are we this far away, or are we kind of in a zone where maybe we are still kind of playing 500-ish, and there could be potentially a way to make this team just a little bit better to get to the playoffs. But this is a big litmus test to me.
I agree. All right. Thank you so much for coming on, Duncan. This will be first of many more episodes. I hope we could come back here and have a more optimistic show where we don't break down as to why AK's plan is failing and he proves us wrong. Then maybe, it's just a few mental lapses. But we'll see. Duncan, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Alejandro. They can find me youtube.com/@theslamduncan. I've been mostly streaming during the season, so you can find me on my streams there. And then on, I still call it Twitter, at Duncan_White14. You can find me there as well.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. You can find me at Local Bulls Fan on Twitter. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.